And the second thing I'll say is that this coming week is going to be an important one for interest rates and their trajectory moving forward. How's it going, guys? I'm Christopher McGee. I'm the owner of Halcyon Real Estate. We are affiliated with the Keller Williams Market Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. And today is Labor Day 2025. It's 9/1/2025, the 1st of September. There's really not a whole lot to grab headlines this last week. I'm just going to mention two things. One, whatever direction any of these data sets look to be trending that I show, that's really typical right now of what we expect seasonally. So nothing really odd or unexpected is happening in our market right now. And the second thing I'll say is that this coming week is going to be an important one for interest rates and their trajectory moving forward. This week in just a couple of days, we'll be getting national inflation data. And on Friday this week, we'll be getting national jobs data. Both of those things are going to have a lot of influence on how the Fed makes a decision around what they do with the federal funds interest rate, which of course influences our mortgage rates. All right, let's jump into these numbers. Here's where things are in the Utah housing market as of September 1st, 2025. Our current inventory stands at 13,384. That is down a touch from the previous week. And just like I said in last week's update, you can see this trend line going up because we start all of our data sets from the beginning of the previous quarter. So this starts in the beginning of April. You can see the trend line going up from that point. But if you look at just the last couple of months of data points there, you'll see our inventory has stagnated. Really, we're trending pretty level on inventory right now. Our prior week's average days on market came to 64. That is up a couple of days from the previous week, and this data set is trending very moderately up right now. Last week's average list price came to $693,405. That is down from the last week. This is trending very moderately up. Last week's average sold price came to $671,781. That is also down from the previous week. That's keeping us in a level of about 10 to 15K in the buyer's favor. When we look at last week's list price versus sold price, we see it comes to $13,624 in the buyer's favor. Like I said, last week's median sold price came to $525,000 even. So I always like to point out that difference. Average list price versus median sold price are two totally different things. Last week, the number of homes sold came to 763, a significant pull up from the last week, looking like we're trending up a bit on this data set, but I'm not convinced we're going to continue at this level of sales per week for any prolonged amount of time unless interest rates continue to drop. Right now, we have 5,130 homes under contract here in Utah. That is down from the previous week. This has got a slight downtrend. The number of price reductions that we had in Utah last week for homes that are actively on the market came to 1,302. That's a somewhat significant drop here. And while we've trended up overall on this data set since the beginning of April, we've clearly trended down since the beginning of July. Last week, the number of listing contracts that were either canceled, expired, or withdrawn came to 650 even. That is up for our expected jump at the first of the month report for this data set, still trending up clearly. And interest rates currently for a 30-year fixed rate conventional loan stand at 6.50%. That's a new low interest rate for the year. Importantly, today is Labor Day and the markets are closed. So this is actually where they closed on Friday last week. And this week will be, like I said, big for interest rates. We got inflation data, we got jobs data coming out this Friday. Both of those events will be a big deal in the Fed's decision making on where interest rates go. And that is it for this week, you guys. If you have any questions about any of that data, feel free to hit me in the comments. I'm always going to be happy to respond. If you or anybody you know is looking to move here in Utah in the coming months, anywhere in the last half of this year, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to be happy to work with you and be happy to work with whoever you know. I consider it my job to make sure you know what's coming. You always understand what you're signing. You always know what to expect next. And it's always going to be done in a buttoned up professional manner. And of course, if this is the kind of data that you want to stay on top of, you will find no better way than to hit that subscribe. Stay up on it with me from week to week. Thanks for watching this week, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.